You all know that. So here I pose a hypothetical scenario in the next slide. It's just a dialogue I'm trying to create. We are just discussing this. What if, hypothetically talking, what if the all blast furnaces around the globe increases its uses of scrap mix by additional 10%? It can generate a new demand of additional 120 million tons of scrap per year. I repeat again, let's say, hypothetically talking, all the blast furnaces start using 10% more scrap than what they are using now. It can create an additional demand of 120 million tons of scrap per year. The technologies, I learned that these kind of technologies are in place, and some blast furnaces are indeed using or started using more scrap. If this phenomena is properly lobbied, it's pushed, and a general awareness is created, it might be possible to achieve this exponential growth of additional $100 million of scrap trade per year.
Now Russian scrap processing companies, they got a really great problem with value-added tax because of the situation with some market participants. That's why if you compare the prices, as an example, on the copper, it would be the highest in the world. And it is a problem for, I told you several slides before that ferrous scrap market depends on the non-ferrous market. Depends first of all from the copper. If you have specialization only in ferrous, but you collect copper too, you will have this problem because some companies are not clear in the chain when they deliver copper from the scrap collector to the producer of cable, as an example. That's why central bank or other state authorities, they think, because in some chain there are not good companies. But state authorities, they think that this scrap collecting companies not good too. That's why they will make problems with banks and problems only how to work. That's why now we are working how to receive this problem, and from 1st of January next year, I mean from 1st of January 2021, we hope that together with tax authorities, together with Russian government, Russia will make implementation of reverse value added tax for copper, I mean secondary copper market too, like as in aluminum market.
So this is quite a long-term vision of what the Indian industry would look like going all the way up to 2050. So currently we are somewhere around 105, 110 million tons. By FY30, which is as per our national steel policy, we will be somewhere around 225 to 230 million tons. And 20 years down the line, we will be somewhere touching around 500 million tons of steel demand. Now the pie shows the distribution between longs and flats. The ratio is expected to remain consistent because even in FY50, we don't expect the steel consumption ratio with respect to the purchase power parity to be closer towards the developed economies like US and Western Europe. So this ratio is expected to remain consistent. What you see on the bottom is the long product demand and what is the growth trajectory for the next 3 decades. So in this decade, although these numbers are pre-COVID, so we expect some kind of a more conservative outlook. But overall, the trajectory is expected to remain the same. This decade, we are looking at around 7.5% CAGR for the long product demand. And the next decade, it would fall to around 5%. And in the last decade, going from 2040 to 2030, we will be looking somewhere around 3% CAGR. Create an ecosystem. So the government is doing their part to ensure that there is a sustainable ecosystem which gets created? No, because government alone cannot create this. It requires a lot of private participation, participation by companies like us, participation by companies who are technology suppliers, and also by companies who are mostly in the business of disseminating knowledge with respect to recycling is concerned. So I think it has to be a collaborative effort. Government has come out and they have stuck their neck out to say that, hey, we are there, we are coming up with something. But I think an effective private participation would be a key to ensure that a really sustainable recycling ecosystem gets created in India.
Is around, if I talk about, for example, 2018, because it was before restrictions, it is more good year to analyze, is around 5 million tons. So 1 million ton goes to Belarus. 4 million tons we can divide on 3 parts. Around 1 million ton go from Far East, from Vladivostok. I think not exceeds 1 million tons, around 700,000-800,000 tons from Vladivostok to Pacific. I mean, first of all, to South Korea.
Initially, of course, a lot of the economy slowed down, so the price went down sort of a bit in the February month, late February, early March. But then we've seen an increase in price, sort of coming in April. Was flat and then went back up, starting to rise on a consistent basis until today. So what ended up happening is in the U.S. and most likely, well, not most likely, U.S. and Japan. I actually work with Japanese companies as well. The supply actually got curtailed more than the demand receded, interestingly enough. So as the collections started decreasing over pretty much nationally in the U.S., about on average about 25% less scrap supply than had in a traditional year. That sort of drove the price up, and we also had the major impact of the Chinese stimulus package that was sort of put in place in an emergency situation while China was going through their difficulty with COVID, and that has created a huge demand for the finished product in China. The price of finished product in China has increased significantly over the last 3-4 months as a result of that. Also, construction projects other than just infrastructure supported by the government have increased in China. So that has actually, obviously, everybody or most people know that has increased the price of iron ore around the world because the demand in China has increased, and as a result, the increase of iron ore into the almost, I think the high was 130. I think it's around 125 right now. Has significantly impacted the price of scrap as well.
Well, I think private sectors can do much more than the governments. The governments can only frame a policy work, but it would be on the private sector to implement and to take benefit out of that. There are already so many initiatives for which general steel participants are not aware with. To give you an example, BlackRock Foundation has created a sustainability fund of $1 trillion. And they are looking to invest in the sustainable technologies. So what they are doing is they are going to the glass industry, they are going to the plastic industry, they are going to the fuel industry. Just to give you a small perspective, our company does in cooking, used cooking oil. And we give a lot of that used cooking oil, which we source from Middle East, to the big petroleum companies like British Petroleum and Total and Aral here in Europe. And there is a great demand for this used cooking oil, which is going to be mixed together with diesel. And this is supported by the governments and by this private funds. that if you can reduce your carbon footprint, there is an incentive there in the market. All the thing which is needed is to capture it, to make a framework around it, that how it is going to be captured. To give you another thing, the banks are talking about a financial help or a cheap financing, I would say, or very competitive financing if you are a green company or if your company is taking green initiatives. So if you are paying, for example, LIBOR plus 1.5%, you can get a financing if you have some good idea which can reduce the carbon footprint, financing less than LIBOR plus 1%. So there are so many initiatives I can talk about for hours for those initiatives. There are many initiatives. In World Economic Forums, in one of the conclaves I was invited last year, it was for circular car economy. There are billions of dollars available if someone has some good idea, and where the banks, the private institutes can support to find a solution for, let's say, circular car initiative, circular car. In one of that, the most important thing is recycling. So the people from Goodyear tires were there, the people from the recycling industry were there, the steel makers were there, the electricity providers were there, the municipalities were there, and they all were there how to make the cars more green. So there are, I can keep on talking about these things. There are so many initiatives for which general steel industry is not much aware, and much more can be done.